Shihan.
Mitch, good to see you. Good to be back again. We've done good training today. Today we're going to focus on just a couple of techniques straight out of Pinan number 3. There's some really good applications. Of course, we keep pointing out that if you relate kata movements to nothing more than tournament fighting, well, then obviously you're never going to see any real world application in it. But if you extrapolate everything and understand that certain principles based on Kaisei no Genri and the Bunkai, there's a whole ocean of possibilities out there. So let's just quickly look at the beginning few movements of Pinan number 3. Start here. Us. Now, they're the movements we're going to look at. We're going to focus on coming from here to here, where the hands are connected, down. This is called Osaya Uke. What does it do? And here. Okay? So we're just going to look at that combination. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's look and see how we can apply that. The first thing, whenever you've got hands coming together, you have something in it. Whenever the hands are coming in here like this, or even here like this, you have a connection. So what we have is when somebody grabs the wrist here, we're going to come up here and take the wrist away like that. This is a really strong kote gaishi sort of movement. So here like this, the hand turns out in uchiuke. But doing that alone is not enough. If Mitch has a strong grip, I need to use 2 hands. And I hit up. There. Now this is also a good application for the opening position, but also it's a good application for it whenever 2 hands come together here. See that? Now you'll notice what you can do is if you get this movement alone, it's enough to hit, but also it's enough to take someone down on its own, like that. There, up here, and there. But the other beautiful thing it does is it drops his head to this line. Okay, so that's where this now comes into play. So we've gone here, now we're coming to here in this movement. So we go from here, there, and now we push the head down, just like in the kata and there. But in the kata, what we're going to do is change this nukite strike into an underarm, I call it a shot put, a drive through. Take the head down, the arm over. Okay, so we'll show you that in a full movement. So he grabs. I can hit once there too. If someone's got your hands, it means that hand's not about to hit you. This one may, so it means I cover here, come to there first, and then uchiuke, wrist. And then I drive down in this movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, circle. Now remember in the kata, I go 1, 2, 3, and circle. Or depending on which group you belong to, you withdraw and punch. They're both practical. You come in here, 1, 2, 3. Hand comes down just like in the kata. 1, 2, 3. Drive this arm under, and then I do the circle. Finish here like this. You can finish with arm bars, etc. Or if you want to turn them over, you drive their tricep tendon across your knee, and look, it turns them straight over like that as well. So, once again, he grabs the hand. I'm coming up and I'm hitting up. Extend as I go. Remember the Aikido Jiu-Jitsu principle of separating the the joints. I don't just turn because he has a degree of integrity, but if as I turn, I lengthen, everything changes. 1, and I hit up. 2, 3, the head drops. I'm going to drop it down just like in the kata, extend just like in the kata, and as I push the head between us, I take that one over there. I can finish here with a knee ride, a punch, a wrist lock, or an armbar. Okay? What you do is up to you. This movement here, 1, 2, you can also do it 1, 2. So here like this. So watch. There's 2 ways to take someone down from this head control position. Of course, bang. That always helps. Soften them up a little bit. Drive the arm in, and I push the head down like that. Always watch out for the feet, because as he goes down, he may kick up. So I always just put my hand like this, just out of habit, because I got kicked like that once. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take him down, and I put my hand here like this, and then down and finish. Now that's the first way to take them down. The first way being 1, 2, 3, boom, this arm coming in here. Okay? But there's also another way. Watch carefully. I'll come a little closer so you can see. The hand now comes this way. So now the hand comes to here. So just like here, there. See that? And that places a lot of pressure on the head. You can see Mitch's body is starting to turn even as we go. That's very, very strong as well. So there's 2 ways to do this sort of motion. The first one is entering the arm from in front and turning. The second one is entering the arm from behind. See that? Here, he comes in, I take him down, knee, drive the arm in here. Keep the head down, because if his head comes up, now I'm in all kinds of trouble. He can punch me in the groin, he can kick me in the groin, he can do things. But if I keep his head down, now he tries to punch me in the groin. It's really, really hard. So the head goes down, hand comes on top of my own hand here, and finish. Okay? There's the practical demonstration for that. So that's a really, really very realistic and very honest interpretation of those moves. Here is here, taking the wrist, and that move there, dropping the head, driving through and turning around. Very, very practical. What's Marco? Good to see you. Rochelle, good to see you. What's Ryan? Nice to see you. The greatest channel on YouTube. We pay Ryan $50 a week to say that. What's Mac? Thanks for coming from Germany. What's Sensei Mike? Nice to see you. MA, what's greetings from Denmark. Thanks for coming along. Appreciate that. Soledad de Dios. Like the continuous connectivity of those grabs, takedowns, and controls. Yes, that's right. Once you have connection, you should not lose connection. It's very important to keep that in mind, is that as if there's connection, disconnection, connection, that plays into his hands. When you have control, you need to lock it in immediately and continue on with the flow until they're on the ground control. We call it the 3-second rule. From the moment you take control, from the moment you have contact until they are on the ground in control should be no more than 3 seconds. Any longer than that, and you start to run into problems. Yeah. Craig, good to see you, man. Shibaraku. Chrissy, good to see you, man. Chrissy Dunn. How do you find those techniques from your perspective, being on the receiving end?
Yeah, they're very incredibly effective. And the head movement in grappling the other week, we were doing a move where basically you control the head and it opens the far side underhook. And essentially it's the same thing that's happening there, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're controlling the head, it opens up this armpit from either waki is open, so you can control that space and control me easily.
Yeah, so what Mitch is referring to is sometimes when you do a collar tie, you don't want to just collar tie and hold on. You do a strong, solid collar tie. Sometimes that isn't enough to break their posture. So Coach Eric Paulson, he calls it a frisbee throw. And by doing that, if you look at Mitch's spinal alignment, I don't just pull straight down, I pull to the side. So collar tie here, heavy, I hit, and then take it that way, and that creates a hole here. Okay, so I come here, boom. Now what I do is, if you watch Mitch's spine again, as long as he has spinal integrity, he's strong. So what I'm going to do is actually do this, where his head is crunched back. So I come in, pull to the side, come in here. Now I crunch Mitch's face into my chest with a strong grip. Okay, and from there, I have a really nice, easy takedown. If he tries to slip out of it, I'm switching to the other side and taking down. So that's what Mitch is referring to when we have that side head movement off the collar tie. It's not just hand on the neck, it's controlling them to create that hole coming up underneath. Boom, boom, there.
And that sequence out of Pinan 3, Shihan, is exactly that. You're controlling the head and then punching your arm through. Maybe a little different, but the principle is exactly the same.
The principle's the same. Where the head goes, the body follows. I'm going to come here, take that wrist. And when the wrist is going that way, it's impossible for the head not to go unless they are on some kind of opiate drug and they just don't even feel their wrist and elbow breaking. Okay, but bang. And then when the head's the side there, that's where this movement, straight out of Pinan 3, you just boom. You can even clap the ear, boom, down and drive through there. Awesome. Are there any kata with leg strikes and takedowns similar to the Karate Kid where Johnny Lawrence grabbed Daniel LaRusso's kicking leg and delivered him? Yeah, I'm sure there are. Any movement where you have the descending elbow can be done on a leg. I haven't really analyzed it, but definitely when you have whenever you have a descending elbow there, and that's very common in kata, you can treat it as striking down on the quad. And if you know your nerve points, we go on and on and on like this. There's an unbelievable range of techniques that people do, which in themselves are good techniques. But when you know your nerve points, you can do exactly the same technique, but instead of positioning your elbow or your hand or your shin arbitrarily, you're now actually positioning it right on a very, very responsive nerve point.
Area. Yeah. We did it today in the lunchtime session. Remember the Kimura and your elbow on the shoulder up here?
Yes, yeah. So there's nerve points everywhere, and there's certain things you do, and it may be. So what we were doing was this sort of movement here with the elbow here. Now, if you don't know your nerve points, you're just are we back? I hope we're back. I'm not too sure how much of that was saved, but anyway, we are back for now.
We're back. Thank you, Sensei.
Yes. We're back. Good. Okay, so I don't have my iPad. I should have brought my iPad so I can draw the kanji because as you were saying, oh, by the way, Soldado Dios, I'm going to be in Mexico City in a few months. So if you're in Mexico City, let me know. But anyway, yes. So originally, got another $50. Yeah. Originally, the kanji for karate were the kanji for the Tang Dynasty or China. So it meant Chinese hands. But when Funakoshi Gichin wanted to try and create a recognizable Okinawan art, such as karate, he changed it from China hands to empty hands. And the kanji for karate, let me see if I have an app here, I could draw the kanji for you. But the kanji then became one of, which means empty. And so I don't think I have an app for it to draw a kanji. I might be able to do it here. Let's have a look at this one. Here. Yeah, not a very good view. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly draw the kanji here. 1, 2, because the stroke order is important. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's a little bit, I'll draw it a bit smaller so we get it better balanced. There you go. And it means empty. You can see up here, the very top line, empty, sora. It also means the sky. That's the kanji. So that's the kanji that it became, empty hand. Chomo Hanashiro Sensei used kanji in his notes on karate long before Funakoshi. Well, there you go. I'm very grateful for you informing me of that. But that's the kanji. So if I can fit with my hand, so that's the kanji for karate, empty hands. And as Sensei Mike, who most of you will know is a leading Okinawan Goju instructor, Chomo Hanashiro Sensei first used empty hand kanji in his notes on karate long before Funakoshi Sensei went to Japan. Well, there you go. There's your answer. So, Ryan, that's basically the original kanji. I'm just going back to your question, Ryan. But yes, the word karate meaning empty and te meaning hand. How do you see this definition? So essentially, I'm guessing that it was a conscious decision to move away from the kanji karate, which was China, which was the original kanji that they used. And I'm just trying to put it in here. I'm guessing that they wanted to move away from that and use kanji, which gave it a meaning for Okinawa instead of so you see the top kanji there, tang or kara. See how it says kara? That's that kanji there. I can do it a bit neater than that, I'm sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There. So that's the original kanji that was used for karate, which means the Tang dynasty, or which means Chinese hands. So it was an acknowledgement of the original sources of karate before it started to be more deeply developed in Okinawa. And then, as Mike Sensei pointed out, Chomo Hanashiro Sensei, and I guess others, began to want to find the kanji which allowed them their own originality and recognition of the sources of techniques developed within Okinawa as well. So they changed to the empty hand. That's right. They didn't want that Chinese connection anymore. And I think that should answer your question, Ryan. Now, empty hand, it means no weapon. Solso was always talking about karate meaning empty hand, and that's the traditionally accepted variation of it. You could also extrapolate it into a more philosophical approach, which means the emptiness of and the void of Buddhism and so on like that. But I honestly don't think a lot of people see it like that, except when they want it to be like that. Yes, beyond this, in the name of the desire to look less Chinese, do you view this as fighting with our gloves and the hand technique, or empty as in metaphorically receiving something? Yeah, you know what? I think Solso, this is one reason why Solso was adamant about tournaments not having gloves, and also he didn't, even though to a degree weapons were practiced in Kyokushin, he described Kyokushin as, or karate in general, as the ultimate Zen form of martial arts because it did away with all weaponry. And if you look at people like Yamaoka Teshu and the early masters of Mutoryu, the styles where they gave away swords. So the really highly advanced sword masters, they literally stopped using swords and they went to empty hands themselves. So I think it's a very interesting observation by Sosai to say that karate was the ultimate form of martial art because it did move towards the Zen concept of emptiness by doing away with all weapons. And so he was very adamant in tournaments that he didn't want to wear gloves because it changed everything. If Mitch was to punch me or kick me whilst my hand was here and it was empty, I'd still get knocked out. But if I had a glove on, it'd protect me. So the technique literally changes with that and without gloves. I studied Otsuka Karate 15 years under Rampal's tutelage, Sensei Rebels. I'm glad you find your channel. I taught both my sons the art, best life ever gained. That's so good. Otsuka Sensei, Otsuka Norihiro, is it? I'm sure Mike Clark will be able to, or Noritsuka, I'm trying to remember his first name. That in Filipino martial arts, they begin teaching weapons opposed to most styles such as karate, which begin with empty hand training. Yeah, I like the Filipino style as well because they start with stick, they move to knife, and then they move to empty hands. And the movement is exactly the same. 1, 2, 3, with a stick, with a knife, and with empty hand. I think, honestly, I just don't have enough time. But if I hadn't time, I'd really get right into Filipino martial arts. But anyway, thanks, fellas. I'm glad we were able to reconnect. I'm not too sure whether the two parts will connect. If they don't, and we lose the initial technique explanation and demonstration, we'll come back next week and do it again. But anyway, thanks for hanging in there. Good to see everyone. Thanks for that clarification, Mike Sensei. Appreciate that. That's why it's always good to have you here on the channel with us. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Us, thanks very much.
Us, thanks, Shihan.
Us, come in, Mitch, say goodbye. Us, see you next week.